In 1998, a man sat down to dinner at a restaurant in Ohio. He took a sip of his drink, suddenly grabbed his throat, ran out into the car park, and collapsed. According to his brother sitting right across the table, his last words were, "They poisoned me." Strange enough on its own, but here's the detail that turns this from a sad story into a genuine mystery. This man claimed he'd built a car that ran on water. Ordinary water. The kind you make tea with, and he swore it worked. So which is it? A genius the world silenced, a clever fraud, or something in between? Let's look at what the record actually says. Welcome to Erased Inventions, where we dig up the technologies that supposedly existed, worked, and then vanished. And the rule never changes. We deal in the documented record. Court files, coroner's reports, real testimony. We follow the evidence wherever it leads, even when it leads somewhere you don't expect. If that's your kind of thing, hit like. It really does help these stories reach more curious people. Right, let's meet Stan. His name was Stanley Meyer. Stan to his friends. He lived in Grove City, Ohio, a quiet suburb where not a great deal happened. Stan wasn't a trained physicist. He was a self-taught inventor, the kind of man whose garage was more circuit board than car. And in the 1980s and 90s, he became completely convinced he'd solved one of the biggest problems in human history. The idea was genuinely clever. Water is made of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen burns beautifully as it's excellent fuel. So in theory, if you could split water into its two gases, you could burn the hydrogen to run an engine, and the only thing out of your exhaust would be water vapor. Clean, endless, basically free. There's just one catch, and the catch is the whole story, so hold that thought. Stan built what he called the water fuel cell and fitted it into a dune buggy. Then he started making claims that got people's attention very quickly. He said his buggy could drive from New York to Los Angeles, coast to coast, on just 22 gallons of water. A normal car of the day would have needed well over 100 gallons of petrol. Stan reckoned he could do it on about one bathtub of tap water. He gave interviews. He demonstrated the buggy on local TV. He talked about a future where cars ran on rainwater and the oil industry simply faded away. And people believed him. Investors lined up. Money came in. For a while, Stanley Meyer looked like he might be the most important inventor of the century. Which brings us at last to the catch. Here's the catch. And I'll keep this painless. Yes, you can split water into hydrogen and oxygen. We've done it since the 1800s. It's called electrolysis. You might have done it at school with 2 pencils. And a battery? But splitting water takes energy. A lot of it. Those atoms are holding on tight and they do not want to let go. Then you burn the hydrogen back together with oxygen to power the engine and you get energy back out. And here's the problem that sinks the whole ship. The energy you get out is always less than the energy you put in. Always. It's like withdrawing 100 pounds from a cash machine that charges you 120. You can keep doing it. It just makes you poorer every time. And this isn't opinion. It's the laws of thermodynamics. Some of the most tested rules in all of science. Break them and you haven't just built a clever car. You've broken physics itself. So when Stan claimed his cell split water using far less energy than physics allows, scientists were, let's say, deeply unconvinced. Stan had a comeback. He said his device didn't use ordinary electrolysis at all. It used a special resonant frequency that shattered water molecules almost for free. The trouble, he never let independent scientists properly test it, and that is exactly where the story starts to unravel. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this, share it with someone who thinks they've heard every conspiracy. Sharing is the single biggest thing that helps a small channel grow. Right, back to Ohio, where Stan is about to meet some very unimpressed lawyers. In 1996, 2 of Stan's investors got tired of waiting for the water-powered future and took him to court in Ohio. They wanted their money back. And the court did the one thing Stan had always avoided. It brought in independent expert witnesses to examine the famous water fuel cell. Their finding was blunt. There was nothing revolutionary in the device at all. It was, in their assessment, just ordinary electrolysis. The same pencil and battery trick from school. No magic frequency, no free energy. The court ruled that Stanley Meyer had committed, and this is the official wording, gross and egregious fraud, and ordered him to repay his investors. And if this were a simple story, it would end right there. But it doesn't. Because 2 years later, in March 1998, Stan went to that dinner. His brother says Stan had just met with 2 investors. They went out to eat. Stan sipped his drink, grabbed his throat, ran outside, and died in the car park, saying he'd been poisoned. The official cause of death after investigation was a cerebral aneurysm, a burst blood vessel in the brain. Natural causes. But you can guess what happened next. Within days, the story transformed. Stan was no longer a man a court had called a fraud. He was a martyr. A clean energy genius poisoned by oil companies, silenced by the powerful. And honestly, you can see why that version is so appealing. A hero struck down the moment he threatened the most powerful industry on Earth, with dying words straight out of a thriller. It's a fantastic story, the only problem is the evidence. So where does the evidence actually leave us? Being straight with you, as always. The physics hasn't changed. You can't get more energy out of water than you put into splitting it, and no working, independently verified water-powered car has ever existed. Not Stan's, not anyone's. The court examined the device and found ordinary electrolysis. The coroner examined the death and found natural causes. On the documented record, this looks less like a silenced genius and more like a sincere man who fooled himself first and others second. And yet, there's a reason this story refuses to die. It survives because we want it to be true. We want there to be a simple, free answer to the energy problem, hidden in something as ordinary as a glass of water. Stan Meyer didn't build a car that ran on water, but he did tap into something real, our deep hope that the answer is out there, being kept from us. And maybe that's the invention that never got erased. Next week on Erased Inventions, a metal that ancient craftsmen worked in ways modern engineers still can't fully reproduce. No fraud, no courtroom, just a real mystery sitting in plain sight for 2,000 years. If you made it this far, 3 quick things. Hit like. It really does push this to more curious minds. Share it with a friend who loves a good what really happened story. And subscribe because very often we crack open another inventions seemingly erased. And drop a comment. Do you think Stan genuinely believed it? I read every single one. Until next video, stay curious. We follow the evidence.